The Aussie Millions is the tournament that every poker player dreams of winning. People from all around the world have come to Crown Melbourne for their shot at poker glory. Side by side, they sit with the best in the business in the hopes of turning their dreams into a reality. The first prize is $1.6 million, a championship bracelet, and the title of 2014 Aussie Millions Champion. We saw almost 700 players battle for a spot on the final table, and after losing Scott Seaver and Andrew Fedonis, only 5 remain.
Hi everyone and welcome to Crown Melbourne. Now we're having a fabulous day here at Southbank, but what we're here to cover is the final table of the Aussie Millions main event. Now there's been 5 days straight of tournament, so I'm not quite sure how the guys keep up their focus, but with $1.6 million on offer for the winner, there certainly won't be any sleeping at this table.
And there they are. One of these 5 players will be crowned champion of the 2014 Aussie Millions main event. One of them will win $1.6 million and that wonderful bracelet that goes with it. Sitting aside, 2007 Grand Final APPT winner Grant Levy. You've been in this spot before. Such a lot of pressure. Tell us about it. You know, what composure do you need to win this?
Yeah, you just need to remain as level-headed as possible, not let anything faze you. The 5 guys left all seem to be pretty level-headed. I think they've been here at big final tables before, maybe not as big as this for all of them. Certainly this guy has.
That's correct. Jake Bolsiger running 3rd in 2012 in the World Series of Poker, collecting $3.8 million US for his trouble. Sorel Mitzi, who came 3rd in 2010, has opened the action with Queen 10 offsuit. And Bolsiger, well, he flat called with Ace Queen offsuit. Does that seem a little bit of a surprise to you, Grant?
Well, given previous hands that we've seen on this final table, it doesn't surprise me too much. Jake has played a little bit passively, a little bit cautiously, and it's not surprising that he just flat calls with the Ace-Queen. He does have position on Sorel.
Here comes the flop. It is a King-King-5 flop.
And the problem with calling pre-flop, like Jake has, it just opens the door for Sorel to keep betting at it. Jake has missed the flop. It's going to be very hard for him to continue past the flop if he doesn't improve. I can't see him folding straight away, but the fact that he hasn't defined his hand at all, he's just, it's a little bit of guesswork again.
Well, the pot was 600. He bet 235, a little over a third, over to Bolsiger. And he makes the call.
And again, Jake has got himself in a sticky spot because he just has no idea what Sorel has here. Now he's turned a flush draw, so he's actually picked up some equity in the pot.
Turn, a 9 of clubs, 3 clubs on the board. Looks like Sorel is getting ready to fire again.
So Jake has floated the flop with ace high. He's now turned a flush draw. I doubt whether he's going to go away now.
625,000 over to Bolsiger.
Now that bet is on the large side, which actually makes it harder for Jake just to flat here. It's a good bet size from Sorel. If Jake is to flat, the pot becomes 2.3 million. Jake's only got 2.7 million behind, so it's making it difficult for himself. He's committing himself to the pot a little bit.
Look at that. Pretty tight fold there. You're right, Grant. The amount, well, it seemed to really put Jake Bolsiger to the test. Sorel taking the chips in that pot.
So in this hand, Sorel Mizzi decides to get a little frisky, raising it up with the Queen 10. He gets called by Jake Bolsinger, who has Ace-Queen in position. Surprisingly, didn't 3-bet it. Now the flop comes with a couple of kings, and it's a good board to continuation bet with. He gets called. The turn card now gives him extra outs. He's got a gut shot straight draw and a flush draw. Now, he could just check here, but he might have to call, so it's an awkward position. Instead, Sorrell makes a really good play by betting again as a bluff. Because in this case, it's very unlikely that Jake actually has a king or a flush. He more likely has a hand like a pair of sevens, maybe an ace-queen like he does. As it turns out, the play works out perfectly because Jake folds despite the fact that he had a club. So really good aggressive play from Sorrell there.
Cards are in the air, 5 players remain. We will crown a champion. We are so close. Action on Sorrell. He folds. We're looking at pocket aces. And that is Darrin Rabinowitz from the United States.
Dream scenario, folds 2 on the button, pick up pocket aces. Got a short stack in the small blind with 17 bigs.
Vincent Rubianez, also from the United States. He looked at his cards and then just sort of paused.
Now he knows that Darren's going to raise relatively light from the button.
What a time to do this.
All in.
Oh my goodness, he does. He moves all in. You called it, Grant. You said he was going to do it. He's moved in with King Jack of clubs and he gets snap called, and you can see his face there as Rabinowitz shows his aces.
I mean, it's a pretty standard spot. Darren's going to open the button with a pretty wide range. Vincent looks down at King Jack suited, 17 bigs. It's a pretty standard shove. He's just run into the monster. He's still alive though, just needs a lot of help.
We're talking like 4, 9, 10.
One pair on the flop at least.
You know it, like.
All the poker players putting in their requests, the audience having something to say as well.
I think I flop flops here a lot.
Rubianez really needs a lot of help on this flop. He needs to see a fistful of clubs, or kings or jacks, to stay alive in this event, or we will be down to 4. Here comes the flop. There's a jack. A jack 6-6 flop. Well, he's got a piece of it, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, the jack in the window was brilliant. The fact that the flop's paired, it takes out his king as an out, so he still just needs a jack.
Pretty tense in there, lots of voice. Let's see the turn. Everybody tightens up. The turn is an 8 of diamonds. That's no help. 1 card away from elimination.
Well, it changes very little. I mean, the flush draw is meaningless because he needs a jack. If he hits a jack, he's got a full house anyway. Jack of diamonds already out. Jack and a jack only. 2 outs.
Is there a jack in the deck for Vincent Rubianez? No, there isn't. He's eliminated. He will take home 335,000 Australian dollars. He shakes the hands of the other players. Eliminated in 5th place. That is an excellent showing, as the crowd acknowledge, and he is on his way.
It really just sort of came down to the cards for me. Like, I just was sort of card dead, and, you know, I did get some hands, but then everybody just wanted to snap fold, and I don't really feel like I was in any really difficult situations, particularly. It just came down to the cards.
Absolutely. Here's a recap of the hand. Vincent Rubianez, unfortunately picking a spot with King Jack of clubs. He flopped a jack. He was hoping there'd be another one in the deck for him, but it wasn't to be. He's eliminated in 5th place here at the Aussie Millions main event in 2014. He will take home $335,000, and we'll be back after the break at the 2014 Aussie Millions.
The Aussie Millions is one of many events to call Melbourne home. Now, Melbourne itself is an exciting and ever-changing city with so many extraordinary surprises to be discovered in every basement, rooftop and laneway. The possibilities are endless, so forget what you think you know, take a chance, roll the dice and see where it leads you. In 2013, Melbourne ranked as the most livable city in the world, and it's not hard to see why. The city is recognised for its mix of modern architecture which intersects with 19th century buildings, all of which are surrounded by beautiful parks, gardens and greenery. In the summer months, people flock to one of the many nearby beaches to enjoy the sunshine. Famous for its high-quality cuisine, Melbourne attracts chefs, restaurateurs and foodies from all over the world. Taking a stroll down one of the city laneways, it's hard not to notice that beautiful aroma of coffee coming from one of the many cafes. Both sport and the arts are deeply ingrained in Melbourne's culture and history. The city is home to a long list of renowned sporting events and famous stadiums. Music, theatre and art festivals run year-round throughout the city. So if the Aussie Millions isn't enough to get you over to Melbourne, there's an endless list of other reasons why you should come and check it out.
And thank you, Sherry, showing us some of the more beautiful parts of Melbourne. Unfortunately, Andrew Fedonis, our only Australian and Melburnian, was eliminated a little bit earlier in sixth place at this final table. Only 4 remain. Sorel Mitzi sits atop. And Ami Bara, who was our former chip leader, has slipped to 4th place. He's got just over 3.5 million in chips. Now, when the momentum seems to not be going your way, Grant, you know, how do you turn that around, you know, at such a moment?
Yeah, just like I said before, Paul, it's pretty important just to stay even-tempered. You're going to have good periods in a poker tournament. You're going to have bad periods. It's not very common for someone just to go from start to finish and have everything go right. So you've just got to hang in there. And Army's got to think, well, I'm still alive. I'm 3 of 4 in a massive tournament, and I've got 40 big blinds.
Darrin Rabinowitz has raised here with Jack-9 offsuit, and Jake Bolsiger has called with 6-9 of clubs. He had him dominated before the flop, but it looks like Bolsiger has outflopped him with a 6-5-4 flop.
Yep, copy.
And it's checked back to Rabinowitz. He looks like he fires.
It's 260,000.
And it is 260,000 back to Jake now, who's caught top pair.
And Darren would know that Jake has taken a check call line with monster hands earlier on in this final table.
He makes the call. We will see a turn. It is the 3 of diamonds. Back over to Jake.
That's going to slow them down a little bit. It's now 4 to a straight.
Check.
Obviously, that turn card is going to hit the caller's range a lot more than the opener's range.
Well, both players check there. The river is a king of diamonds. Action on Bolsiger. He checks again.
So Jake has checked all 3 streets. I think he's going for the trap here. Darren, after he's checked the turn, he's not really representing anything by betting here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jake makes the call.
675,000. The question is being asked. Jake Bolsiger. He flopped top pair. And here, look at this. Grant Levy, you are correct. This is why you win events. He made the call. It is the correct call. He wasn't representing anything, and he got his hand caught in the cookie jar. Jake Bolsiger, no stranger to success. Like we said earlier, 3rd place in the World Series of Poker main event in 2012 earned him almost $3.8 million US, one of 4 players remaining. We look down at pocket aces of Ami Bara. Now, Ami was our chip leader for a great deal of this final table, and he seems to be slipping, so perhaps good timing for him.
Yeah, you've had a pretty rough trot over the last hour or so. A few orbits. He hasn't been able to get anything going. This might kickstart his comeback.
Sorel looks interested.
And these two sparred a lot at the start of the final table. They haven't really got involved in any big hands since.
Well, it looks like he's come in for a 3-bet, and this would be a very bad time to do that. As you can see there, Sorel with 8-9 of spades, a suited connector.
He's just checking how many chips Army has behind. So if he does call here, there's close to $2 million in the pot. Army's got 2.6 million. And they could be playing for stacks at some stage if Sorel does flop a decent hand.
Well, you're right, Grant, again. He calls. He has position. Let's see if Sorel Mitzi can take his suited connectors and do some damage to the aces of Bara here. The flop. It is a King-Queen-7 flop, so Bara's in good shape.
He is in good shape, but a 4-bet pot and a King-Queen-X with 2 diamonds flop, he wouldn't love it. He does have the ace of diamonds, which make him a little bit more comfortable. But in a 4-bet pot, you're holding aces. You're not really comfortable with King-Queen.
420,000.
Well, the pot was 1.7 million, or a little bit more than that, and he only bet about 420. Tell us what you think of that.
Yeah, well, there's 2 ways of thinking here. He could just be trying to keep the pot small, but more than likely he's actually betting small to try and induce a bluff from Sorel.
Now, surely Sorel would know that. Is he thinking right now, gee, is that a weak bet or is that a trap?
Well, yeah, I mean, he'd be torn between the two. These guys have probably got a little bit of history. Both Canadians, both online players. I'm sure they've played a lot of hands together before. And that would be going through Sorel's mind as well. And he makes the good later.
Well, he does. I think Sorel knew what he was looking for then. He kind of sensed a lot of strength from Army Barra, but it is a nice time for him to pick up that pot. And we'll be back with the 2014 Aussie Millions main event. Welcome back to the 2014 Aussie Millions main event. 668 players began. We are now down to 4. The first prize is $1.6 million with a staggering prize pool of almost $7 million. We're going to crown a champion soon, Grant. I'm sitting next to Grant Levy, 2007 Grand Final APPT winner. We are looking at Sorel Mitzi.
240.
Raise 240.
He is our chip leader. He came third in this event in 2010, and he hopes to go better. He's got pocket sevens and raises to 240,000. Around to Darrin Rabinowitz, who's shown a bit of pre-flop aggression lately.
Yeah, he's sitting there with 25 big blinds. He's shoved again.
He's done it again. He's moved all in on Sorel. He's got a big decision to make here.
So Darrin has shoved the ace-5 suited again, second hand in a row. 25 big blinds this time. It's a big shove.
2.845.
I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of it, to be honest. But it's certainly putting the pressure. It gives Sorel something to think about here. He's in a dominant chip position.
Well, he just said it's close.
It is close. If he knew Darrin had shoved the ace-5 of clubs for 22 bigs a couple of hands before, he'd certainly be calling this off.
Well, Darrin very eager to find out. He doesn't want to wait around too long.
And Sorel would be thinking, well, I've got such a dominant chip lead here. If I call and lose, I double Darrin up and I'm down.
Lets it go. So Darrin Rabinowitz with a very bold move, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was a big shove. He got away with it, but what that does, it just puts the other players on the table a little bit wary.
Definitely want to see that one on TV.
Sorel waiting. Well, I guess that's the advantage of playing poker on television. You get to see what happens later. He still sits atop of our leaderboard at almost 9 million. Jake Bolsiger at 4.5. Darrin Rabinowitz now third with 3.2 million. And Army Barra at 3.2 million. So not much in it there. 4 players, lots of experience, and a $1.6 million first prize. We rejoin the action. You can hear the gallery watching on. Everybody wondering which one of these guys is going to be champion. We see the pocket jacks of Army Barra.
Army's starting to card rack a little bit, moving up the leaderboard, picking up some big hands.
He raises the button.
Raise to 240.
Sorel, of course, a commanding chip lead. He's been here before. He had a commanding chip lead in 2010 and came third. Very disappointed he was.
And Sorel facing a button raise. He knows that Army is going to raise that button into the blinds pretty often and with a wide range.
Sorel with ace-3 offsuit.
I expect to see a 3-bet here. He doesn't want to play a hand out of position. He knows ace-high is good to a button raise. Certainly in front of the range there. And we do see a 3-bet.
605,000.
Well, Grant, you've been right a lot. You're not wrong now. He 3-bets. The question now is, what will...
All in.
Oh, look at this. Army Barra didn't waste any time. He just announced all in, and Sorel lets it go. So Army not wasting any time in that hand. He got it in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, he made the right play. That's for sure. Jacks on the button is a monster hand. He had about just shy of 30 big blinds. And it's a no-brainer for the 4-bet there.
Well, with that pot, Army Barra climbs up. He's now just behind Sorel Mitzi. He got the 2 Canadians at the top and the 2 players from the United States behind. Darrin Rabinowitz is our short stack. But these guys are trading blows. No one's giving up on that bracelet and the $1.6 million first prize. And we'll be back with the 2014 Aussie Millions main event. Welcome back to the 2014 Aussie Millions main event here at Crown Melbourne. We are 4-handed in this main event for the $1.6 million first prize. Sorel Mitzi and Army Barra sit atop from Canada, and Jake Bolsiger and Darrin Rabinowitz from the United States are following. It's pretty close, and they're trading blows. As you can see there, we lost our only Australian at this final table, Andrew Fedonis. He took home $250,000, though. Not a bad payday. I sit with Grant Levy, 2007 grand final winner of the APPT.
Really?
They seem pretty relaxed, Grant, considering the stakes.
Oh, there's big stakes, but these guys have already done half the job. They'd be pretty happy getting to the final four. If you tell anyone at the start of the tournament they're going to win almost $500,000, they've got to be happy with it. But now that they're there, they've all got the eyes on the $1.6 million.
Army Barra raised and Jake Bolsiger called. Barra with Jack-9 offsuit. Bolsiger with Ace-Queen of Hearts. Once again, Bolsiger showing a tendency of, he's slow playing big hands and he's flopped well. A Queen 10 Jack flop and he checks.
He's shown a propensity to play pretty passively, out of position, and pre-flop especially. He's flopped top pair, top kicker, but it's a very coordinated board. Obviously a king no good though. That would give Jake a bigger straight.
Well, the bet's 200,000, the pot 840. Bolsiger, probably the only player at the table now who remains consistently still. He makes the call. The turn is a 6 of diamonds. 3 diamonds now.
3 diamonds. Neither player has a diamond, but it is a little bit... It will make them pause a little bit. It's a danger card, certainly.
Both players check. The river. It is a 3 of spades. Action on Bolsiger. Surely his Ace-Queen, he knows it's good. He's reaching for chips. He's got to value bet him here.
Well, he's got to assume it's good, but we know that Jake has check-called a lot of streets. And Jake possibly knows, this is previous hands I say, Jake knows that other players know that, so he needs to get a bet out. He might be worried that if he does check, Army might check it back and he'll get no value for the Ace-Queen. So he leads out.
He bets a bit over half pot. And Army Barra there, you can see it in his face. He's a little bit animation there. He leans back and you can see him considering, going, what has he got?
And Army knows that Jake has check called with big hands. And he's thinking, well, why is he leading now? Is he bluffing? Does he have a misdraw? Does he have a hand like King 10 that Army can obviously beat? He's missed his straight draw.
Call.
And he makes the call. So Jake Bolsiger, he traps with Ace-Queen of Hearts. And Army Barra is going to give up some chips there. And you can hear the gallery cheering him on. A big smile from Jake Bolsiger there. It's good to see, as much as these players have got so much experience, it means so much to them. Let's take a look at From the Vault. Here you will see Jake Bolsiger. He was quite young, wasn't he? He's still young now. He's up against Greg Merson at the World Series of Poker, 3-handed. He gets it in. Unfortunately for him, Merson has him dominated. He takes third place, though, and a very, very healthy payday of almost $3.8 million US. Not bad for a week's work there at the World Series. And he is here now at the Aussie Millions in 2014, trying to continue that ride 2 years later. We look down at pocket fives. He's shown a lot of pre-flop aggression. Over to Army Barra now. He's got the button, and Army asks how much he's playing.
Darren's playing about 24 big blinds. The last time Army 3-bet, Darren shoved on him with the King Jack.
He wouldn't want to do that this time. Army Barra 3-bets him again.
420.
420,000.
And makes it a similar size. Darren would remember that.
Bit of hand history here. Rabinowitz looks across in the same way.
And he knows last time he 4-bet, Army
And he
shoved.
did. He moved all in and quickly got called. But this time, Barra's got him on the ropes.
Yeah, that hand played out similar up until the call. It played out very similar to the first hand. Obviously, that's why Darren's 4-bet. He got away with it last time.
Huge underdog here. As you can see by the percentages, Barra could eliminate Darrin Rabinowitz from the United States.
And hurdle all the way back up into the chip lead if Army wins this one.
What a ride for Army if he does.
Clearly not a hand.
And he's got him absolutely suit crushed as well. So no flush draws out there.
Is there a 5 in the deck for Darrin Rabinowitz?
It's close.
And the flop is deuce 4 jack. No, there isn't just yet. There's 2 cards to come.
You got your 2-sided though.
He is 2 cards away from elimination.
Wants a 3, a 5, a 6, or an ace just to keep him alive.
The turn is a 6.
Well, he wants a 3.
So he has a 3 or a 5. The turn always brings some more
It
outs.
certainly does. 3 or a 5, or Darrin Rabinowitz is eliminated. Ami Bara. He started as our chip leader. He's gone all the way down. And look at that. A river is an ace of diamonds, and that'll do it. So Darrin Rabinowitz, with a fist pump and a handshake, is eliminated in 4th place. He will take home 450,000 Australian dollars.
No, Igor, I'm not chip leader.
Sorrell confirming that he is still not chip leader. Another handshake as he exits the stage. A fair effort.
It made it a lot more fun, definitely, having my friends there, and kept it lively. I like to have fun at the poker table, so definitely made it more enjoyable and laid back, not as serious as your standard final table probably, and I think that that's probably in my advantage, keeping it light and just playing my game, and my friends, I interact with my friends and I don't let the moment kind of overcome me, so had a great time.
Let's recap the hand. Darrin Rabinowitz from the United States is eliminated in 4th place. He gets it in with pocket 5s versus pocket 9s of Ami Bara. But unfortunately for him, even though the turn was graceful, the river wasn't. An ace of diamonds meant that he was packing and going home. We are now 3-handed, and we'll be back after the break to see how this concludes at the 2014 Aussie Millions main event. Welcome back to the 2014 Aussie Millions main event here at Crown Melbourne. We are 3-handed and going to give away $1.6 million as a first prize. There you see Ami Bara, who started the day as the chip leader, plummeted down the chip count and now is back up the top, followed by Sorrell Mitzi from Canada and Jake Bolsiger from the United States, who ran 3rd in the World Series of Poker 2 years ago for $3.8 million US. He's trying to win the Aussie Millions main event. Sorrell Mitzi, who came 3rd in 2010, he's trying to go better as well. We see pocket kings now in the hands of Jake Bolsiger. I sit next to Grant Levy, 2007 winner of the grand final of the APPT. We see ace-10 off suit here in Ami Bara's hands.
The 2 monster hands 3-handed here, Paul. Kings and ace-10 off. Now Ami is out of position. I guarantee he's going to 3-bet here. Ace-10 is just way ahead of the range of a button open here. 3-handed.
Well, this could get very ugly for Ami here. He's just regained the chip lead.
And obviously Jake's going nowhere. He's been passive early on in this final table, but King's 3-handed. I'd be very surprised if we see anything other than a 4-bet here.
Well, he has flat called with a lot of big hands. Let's see what he does this time.
I like a small 4-bet here. Try and induce a 5-bet shove or 5-bet bluff from Ami.
Well, that looks like a raise. He's not going to slow play this hand by the looks of things. Let's listen for the dealer. She'll tell us the amount.
Looks like about 1.2 million.
1.175.
Oh, you were so close, Grant. 1.17 million in chips. Over to Ami Bara now.
And he might just be
All
thinking,
in?
yeah.
Wow, he announces all in, and Jake Bolsiger quickly calls Sorrell Mitzi off his feet. And
No chops.
wow, Bolsiger is the all-in player, so if he cops a bad beat, out he goes. But he's in very, very good shape to take an enormous dint out of Ami Bara's stack.
You lost your cards.
And I guarantee that Sorrell is there hoping to see an ace. He'd love to get heads up here. After his 3rd place finish a few years back. And Jake trying to improve on his 3rd place World Series of Poker finish. Needs to avoid an ace.
Here comes the flop. It is an interesting 7, 8, 9 flop. Bolsiger, it breaks a smile on his face, amazingly.
Yeah, Ami has flopped the world without actually improving yet. So needs an ace, a 6 or a jack.
Incredible stakes right here. The turn. The turn is a 5.
Well, that's a really significant card for Jake. He takes away a few of Army's outs. It knocks it down from 11 outs to 8. So Jake's picked up a flush draw. Army needs an ace, a six, or a jack, which isn't a club.
Can he survive the river? Bolsinger's kings. No, he cannot. It is a six of hearts. It is a bad beat. And Jake Bolsinger, he is eliminated in third place. Again,
man.
amazing. He takes home $650,000. Must be a big disappointment though, Grant.
I guess sometimes you just need to learn to close, Paul.
Well, let's take a look at the hand again. Here is the recap. Bolsinger in great shape, thinking right now I'm going to take out the Aussie Millions, and the river is heartbreak. Army Barra flops an up and down and sends Jake Bolsinger home.
I just played my best. Every decision, I tried to keep the pots, a little bit smaller so I could play as many pots, because I feel like I've come a long way playing post flop lately. And so I wanted to focus on that tonight and see where that would take me.
And there is the bracelet, and there is the cash. 1.6 million Australian dollars, and a beautiful bracelet. And of course the title of 2014 Aussie Millions champion. And it will be played between two Canadians. Of course, Sorel in 2010 came third in this event. He was the overwhelming chip leader and was very disappointed that he didn't win. He must be happier already. Grant Levy. The difference between these two players mustn't be much.
No, they're both very experienced in different realms. I mean, Sorel is very experienced in both live and online player. Army has played a lot more online poker, but he's certainly played a lot of tournaments and been in this situation in terms of end game tournament pretty often. But he has a 3-1 chip lead over Sorel as well.
Well, Sorel raised pre-flop to 240,000. Army Barra calls the flop. An 8-7-7 flop.
Well, we don't quite know what Sorel has in his hand. He's a pre-flop aggressor, but Army's flop trips. And Sorel's going to continue after Army's check. It'd be interesting to see how Army plays this. He's got a 3-1 chip lead. Wonder if he's going to start putting the pressure on straight away.
7, that's 240.
240,000 is the bet. Action back on Army Barra now with trip sevens.
Actually, just like a call here. Sorel's an aggressive player. If you raise here, it's hard for Sorel to continue without some piece of that board. I like a call. Check again on the turn and let Sorel fire another bullet.
Well, Army elects to raise here, making the pot around 1.2 million. He gets a curious look from Sorel.
And Sorel not letting his hand go immediately. May have hit some part of this board. As you can see, we're not quite sure what Sorel's cards are. But if he calls here, I'm sure he has some part of the board, whether it be a 7 or 8, hand like 5, 6,
7 calls.
10 jack, 9, 10, all those draws.
He calls. The pot now 1.5 million. The turn, a 2 of diamonds.
That card changes very little. Oh, and there we go. Sorel does have an 8.
Well, he's in big, big trouble. Let's see if Army can extract any more out of him.
Now, the fact that Army has check raised and leading the turn. Sorel has an 8 with no kicker.
Bet 630.
He bets 630,000. In relation to the pot size there, Grant, what does that tell us?
It's about 40% pot. It's a pretty standard size bet, Paul. He wants to start building a pot. He does have trips. Wants to get paid off here. If Sorel calls here, pot is 2.7 mil, and Sorel will have about 4.5 to 5 million left.
Well, Sorel makes the call, and he is in bad shape going into this river. The river is a jack of clubs. That's no help, so Army Barra will take down the pot. The question is, can he get any more out of Sorel? It's almost 3 million now in the middle.
Well, Sorel just doesn't beat a lot here.
Oh, well, Army Barra checks there, and Sorel checks behind him, so Trips will take it down, and Sorel Mitzi, he coughed up a lot in that hand. And Army Barra, who started as our chip leader, plummeted down the leaderboard and now has a commanding lead heads up. And we'll be back to see how this finishes at the 2014 Aussie Millions main event.
river enjoying Crown's Chinese New Year festival. Now, this time it's all about the Year of the Horse. And there's so much going on here. The atmosphere is abuzz. There's over 50 market stalls, lion processions, live music and entertainment, feng shui, and so much more. So let's get looking. Chinese New Year, or the Lunar New Year as it's often referred to, is a long-standing tradition in Australia. With over 2 weeks of cultural festivities, it's one of the biggest annual events in Melbourne. The bazaar attracts over 100,000 visitors every day. It's a great way to experience a touch of Asia, but for me, it's all about one thing. Looks good. Looks good. Yum. With Melbourne being renowned for its food and restaurants, it's perhaps Asian cuisine that is the most popular. And it's not hard to see why when walking through the Hawker's Bazaar. Oh, is this one stronger?
Not really, don't worry, it's a one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's my favorite actually.
Oh, yum.
Yay,
That's good. There is so much to do here and I'm having an absolute blast. But I better get back to the poker room.
There you see, we are heads up for the 2014 Aussie Millions title. It will be decided between these two Canadians. Sorel Mitzi, who's no stranger to this table, he made it to third in 2010, and Ami Bara, who has a commanding chip lead, is beginning to show strength.
Raise to 240.
And Sorel with the button makes a raise. It's pretty standard. He doesn't want to play too many hands out of position against Sorel. Such an experienced opponent. Good heads-up player.
You'd expect Sorel Mitzi to open almost all the time on the button. Here, Ami Bara has King 10 of diamonds. He elects to call.
Yeah, he's got a hand with value. He might not want to play too big a pot pre-flop, so he just elects to call.
Here comes the flop. Ace 5-7 flop.
Well, nothing in there for Ami. Still not sure what Sorel's hand is, but I expect him to continue a fair portion of the time here. Ami, if he's holding an ace here, Sorel would expect that he 3-bets. So Sorel can pretty much continue with impunity.
That's 240,000.
He does. He bets 240,000. Now over to Ami, who's only got king high, but a commanding chip lead.
Well, Sorel's got king high too, by the look of it.
Cool.
And it looks like he's going to float.
Yeah, he's going to float. King high's a pretty good hand. He knows that Sorel is going to open the vast majority of buttons. So he decides to float, see if he can take it away on a later street.
The question is, does the ace of clubs on the turn, as Ami Bara checks there, does that change anything, Grant?
Well, it makes it less likely that Sorel actually has an ace. And as we can see, Sorel has a pair of sevens, which he'd really like at the moment. If he wasn't sure on the flop whether Ami had an ace or not, he'd be a lot more confident now. And Sorel with 2 pair with a king kicker.
That's 510,000.
Well, 960 was the pot, 510 was the bet. Over to Ami Bara now, who float called the flop.
You know, the fact that Ami just called out of position pre-flop makes it a little bit difficult for him now because he kind of has to guess what Sorel has. It looks like he's still going to be a little bit stubborn. He's coming with a call again. He just has no idea where he's at the moment.
And the river is another 7, so Sorel Mitzi has a full house, 7's full of aces. And Ami Bara, who's followed him all the way, checks again.
Well, now Ami, if he didn't believe that Sorel had anything previously, has to be thinking...
Maybe my king high is good.
2 pair with the best kicker. He's got the best non-pair hand that you could have. And Sorel knows that Ami is stuck with him all the way. I'm sure he's going to go for maximum value here.
A little under 2 million in the pot. How much will Sorel bet?
I think anything between, say, 700 and 1.2 million.
It is, you heard the announcement, 905,000. A pot of almost 3 million now. And if that river made Army think his king high could be good, and he looks a little bit pained now.
Well, Sorrell has sold it pretty well. He did raise pre-flop and he's bet every single street. It's going to be hard for Army to call. But the fact that he's called twice already just with king high, 7 on the river changes very little. He's really thinking about the king high call here. He knows Sorrell's more than capable of pulling off this bluff.
Rub of the eyes. The fatigue might be setting in as well. These tournaments so long, Grant, we don't talk enough about that.
Yeah, they're a marathon. That's for sure. These guys would have been at it for a good 10 or 11 hours up to this point. And that's at the end of 4 or 5 days of play.
Yeah, he's a bit disgusted. Whether it is with himself or whether he wanted to be stubborn, I'm not sure. Little wry smile there from Sorrell Mitzi, who takes a very big pot of almost 3 million in this pivotal heads up. Can he go one step further than he did in 2010 and win the main event here in 2014?
Oh, thank you.
Well, Sorrell Mitzi collecting the chips. We are still heads up. Army Barra versus Sorrell Mitzi. The two Canadians will battle it out for the title of 2014 Aussie Millions champion. And I'm pretty sure I just saw Army Barra with pocket aces.
Well, Army with a 5-1 chip lead and pocket aces. It's really closing in on victory here.
And Sorrell Mitzi announces all in, and Army Barra has pocket aces, and look at that. Sorrell just looks away. Sorrell with Queen 8 of diamonds. He can't believe it.
Yeah, rough spot for Sorrell. Army played it well. He just limped in from the small blind. Sorrell shoved for 18 big blinds with the Queen 8 suited, and Army with a snap call with the aces. He's closing in on victory.
There you can see Antonio Sfandiari and Liv Baree, two big-name poker professionals here in the crowd cheering on. Army Barra sits and waits. He is so close to winning the 2014 Aussie Millions title. His aces must hold up against Sorrell Mitzi's Queen 8 of diamonds. The flop is a King Deuce Deuce flop. That is a wonderful flop for Army.
It just about locks it up. Sorrell, as you can see from the graphic, is a 1% shot to win and to stay alive. Army looking very good for the victory here.
Well, Sorrell can barely believe his luck walking into that hand. Is there a sweat on the turn? No, there is not. A 3 of hearts will do it. That ends it. Army Barra has just eliminated Sorrell Mitzi in second place, and that means that Army Barra is the 2014 Crown Melbourne Aussie Millions champion.
On behalf of Crown Melbourne, I'd like to congratulate our runner-up, Sorrell Mitzi, of the Aussie Millions 2014 Aussie Millions Championship. Now, Sorrell, you're the first person ever to reach the final table twice in the Aussie Millions. I mean, I know you would love to have gone one better, but you must be pretty proud of that achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't really complain. $1 million is a lot of money. I mean, even though the Australian dollar is a little down right now, you know, it's still a $8.90 give or take. So I'm happy with the result, and you know, Ami played great, and he deserves it.
Yeah, congratulations again, Sorrell.
Thank you.
And now to our 2014 Aussie Millions main event champion from Canada, Army Barra. Congratulations. All right, you've outlasted 667 players. It's an amazing achievement. You've got a great rail over here. How are you going to celebrate now?
We will probably go out and party.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I give you our Aussie Millions 2014 main event champion, Mr. Army Barra. Congratulations.
Army Barra from Canada, our 2014 main event champion, and what a main event it was. We had 668 players play down to 7 with a prize pool of nearly $7 million. A first prize of 1.6 and that beautiful bracelet. So many players came so close. There you saw Darrin Rabinowitz and hugs and kisses. Jake Bolsiger got very close. Sorel Mitzi got even closer. But in the end, it was Ami Bara. He is the 2014 Crown Melbourne Aussie Millions champion.